Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming. This is an annual event with us, and it's a very important one for DOT and for all of our partners. I'd like to welcome our partners in safety. For the entire year, these folks are there every day working with our folks at DOT. First, of course, is Colonel Weaver from the Rhode Island State Police. Thank you, Colonel, for joining us in this important effort. Today, also with us is Chief Francesconi from East Providence, another partner, particularly recently with the Washington Bridge. FHWA Regional Administrator Derek Torrey, who day in, day out, is a strong and faithful partner to RIDOT, both in our construction and in these safety issues. Chairman of Organizing and Development Committee, Justin Kelly from the Rhode Island Building Trades and Construction and Building Trades. From the AAA Northeast, Jillian Young, and who year in, year out, the AAA has been with us in these safety endeavors that we have, and Administrator of Health and Safety Fund for the New England Laborers Health and Safety Fund, Ray Coya. Again, every year, Ray and his folks work day in and day out to ensure the safety and the health of the workforce that we have building our roads and bridges. Every year, we focus special attention on the well-being of our workers out on the roads and the dangers that they face every day. RIDOT's contractors, engineers, groundskeepers, maintenance workers, repair folks, and add to that all of the construction projects and all of the workers, the construction workers, and the construction company personnel that are out in these work zones, not to mention our public safety folks who are out there on the roads in these work zones with our construction folks every day. For this full week, we want to make people aware as they drive through our work zones, they need to slow down. They need to move over and give our workers room to work. They need to not be distracted as they drive closely to our workers. And they need to be considerate to each other in allowing each other free movement and easy movement through these work zones. These workers are out there every day on our roads, putting their lives at stake to make improvements to our roads and bridges. They're literally putting their lives at risk. And we want that risk to be as close to zero or at zero is our actual goal. Every year, about 900 people nationally are killed in work zones. Workers are killed in work zones. Just last week, we were striping the eastbound lanes when a vehicle collided with our attenuator truck, drove right into it, putting people in that work zone's lives at risk. In February, one of our maintenance workers had his truck hit from behind by a motorist who was inattentive as he was working on our roads. He was hospitalized for a few days, but the good news is that he's doing well at home, recovering right now. Injuries like these disrupt people's lives. They've got long-lasting consequences. And as you see in the videos that you've seen earlier, our workers are also subjected daily to cars speeding within inches of them. I want everybody to visualize, for those of you who don't work in construction in these work zones on our highway, visualize sitting at your desk or at your workshop and having a 30-ton vehicle pass within inches of your desk at a speed of about 60 miles an hour. These are the conditions that our folks are working in on a daily basis. And this is just the start of our active construction season. This year, we've got 63 projects, active projects, in dozens of work zones throughout the state. Each one of these is full of people, our friends, our family, our neighbors, our sons, our daughters, our fathers, our mothers. And they're full of heavy equipment also. So we ask drivers, when you see the signs for a work zone, please slow down and be attentive for your own sake and for ours. We're very lucky to have many safety partners in these initiatives that work with us throughout the year to make these work zones safe. This year we've got a new partner. We've got the Big Blue Bug is wearing a banner for this week, and the owner, Brian Goldman, invited us to post a large banner on his roof reminding folks to be safe in our work zones and to conduct themselves safely as they go through. So we thank him very much for that. We also have a full media buy and billboards this year and hope to expand these efforts this year. Our safety partners are here today to help us get the message out. Each of our speakers has a special take or a special role to play in making our work zones safe. And I'd like to welcome the first speaker, Colonel Darnell Weaver, Rhode Island State Police.
Thank you, Director Alviti. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today, and I extend a particular thanks to my colleagues for their ongoing partnership in addressing the issue of work zone safety. I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of today's dialogue on behalf of the Rhode Island State Police. Today, I would like to emphasize a straightforward, vital message: slow down and move over. A highway construction project that become more prevalent during these warmer months are essential tasks aimed at maintaining and improving our infrastructure. Every day, law enforcement officers, emergency responders, and all roadside workers put their lives at risk to see these projects through and uphold the safety in our communities. Therefore, I would like to remind our residents of the important role they play in ensuring the safety of these individuals. Rhode Island state law requires drivers approaching a designated vehicle with flashing lights to move over and change to a lane that is not directly adjacent as soon as it is safe to do so. The goal is to create a buffer lane between the driver's vehicle and a designated vehicle on the side of the road. If a driver cannot safely move over, they are required to reduce their speed to a safe and reasonable level. They should maintain a safe distance from the designated vehicle as they proceed. Failure to move over and adhere to this law may result in a citation and a fine. More significantly, it could result in a collision with a marked emergency vehicle or an individual, resulting in severe injury or even death to yourself or others. Work zones are not set up to inconvenience drivers, but rather are a necessary part of maintaining infrastructure. We advise all drivers to plan accordingly and leave early to ensure they reach their destination on time should traffic-related delays occur. We appreciate residents' patience and cooperation. By slowing down and moving over, you are doing your part in protecting roadside workers and ensuring work zone safety. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today as we discuss the important topic of work zone safety. While we have construction year-round, springtime brings more work and the volume of construction activity and traffic is set to increase. I appreciate the opportunity to lend my voice to remind our residents of the importance of paying attention while they are behind the wheel. As police officers, many of us have seen firsthand the dangers that come with not paying attention while driving, especially in our work zones. These areas are often filled with workers performing essential tasks to maintain and improve our roads. Every cone, every barricade, and every flashing light is there for a reason: to keep workers, law enforcement officers, and drivers safe. It only takes a split second of distraction to cause a tragedy. According to NHTSA, in 2022, 3,308 people lost their lives in crashes involving distracted drivers, and nearly 290,000 people were injured. Almost 20% of those killed in distracted driving-related crashes were people outside the vehicle, such as pedestrians, cyclists, construction workers, law enforcement officers, and others on the road. Distracted driving is especially dangerous in a work zone where there are narrower lanes and the margin for error can be quite slim. I urge all drivers to stay focused and attentive when driving. Slow down, obey the posted speed limits, and prepare for sudden changes in traffic patterns. It is imperative that drivers put away their phones so as to resist the distraction that they pose, whether it's talking, texting, camera usage, or social media surfing. Additionally, I urge residents to stay clear of any further activities that divert attention from driving, such as eating, conversing with passengers, or adjusting entertainment or navigation systems. These seemingly innocuous actions can escalate into fatal hazards when undertaken while driving, particularly through work zones. Remember, the safety of those working in these zones and your fellow drivers depends on your vigilance. Pay attention, and let's work together to ensure everyone gets home safely at the end of the day. Thank you for your time. I would now like to introduce the Federal Highway Administration Regional Administrator, Mr. Derek Torrey.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning, everyone. I appreciate you all taking the time to be here today as we talk about a topic that is always top of mind for me, I know for all of my colleagues up here today, which is safety. Safety is priority one at the Federal Highway Administration. We spend a lot of time talking about the safety of drivers, pedestrians, bicyclists, all the users of our roads. But today what we're highlighting is an even more important piece of roadway safety, which is work zones. Every April for more than 25 years, we've come together around the start of construction season for National Work Zone Awareness Week. You've probably noticed in recent years that we have a lot of work zones popping up across Rhode Island. To me, this is a great sign of progress. Thanks to President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law, Rhode Island has seen a huge increase in federal funding to fix our roads and bridges. The state now gets about $400 million a year in federal funding for this purpose. This is a generational investment that we haven't seen since the construction of the interstate system. Well, I guess I haven't seen it at all because that was before I was born. While the result of this funding is going to be improved roads and bridges and better driving for us all, today it means a lot of work zones. With more work zones comes more distractions, more potential for crashes. In 2022 alone, 891 people died in work zones in the United States. That accounts mostly for drivers, pedestrians, road users. That doesn't even account for construction workers who are working in the work zones. In 2022, we lost 94 workers in road construction sites. I don't think of that as a number, I think of it as people. 94 people who went to work that day at a good job, planning to go home for dinner with their families that evening. Even one person dying on our roadways is too much. And in 2022, we had nearly 1,000 in work zones alone. It's easy to see how it can happen. I can't tell you how many times I've been driving on I-95 or out there on 195, and all of a sudden the person in front of me kind of slows down a little bit, moves around in the lane a little bit, and every single time when I look up, I see they've picked up their phone. I'm sure you guys have all seen the same thing. I'm sure Colonel and the chief behind me and their folks have seen the same thing a lot. It's a recipe for disaster on a perfectly normal road on a good day, but when you add in the distractions of a work zone, it's really bad news. Lanes can narrow, flaggers could be out stopping traffic, might be steel plates on the road. There's just a whole host of unexpected changes that you can miss if your eyes are down on your phone or if you're speeding through the work zone. Looking at those numbers from 2022, 34% of those crashes were due to speed. 21% involved rear-end collisions. It's not good, but the solution, thankfully, is simple. Put your phone down, slow down, be alert, and move over. The theme for National Work Zone Awareness Week this year is work zones are temporary. Actions behind the wheel can last forever. And it's true. Waiting in traffic around a work zone, as we know around here lately, really frustrating. You just want to get where you're going. But it's a temporary inconvenience. For nearly 1,000 people in 2022 alone, it wasn't temporary. Mothers, fathers, sisters, cousins, brothers, they're never going to see their loved ones again. So please, we're here urging you, be safe in a work zone so that all of us, drivers, pedestrians, workers, first responders, can get home safe. Now it's my honor to introduce our next speaker, Justin Kelly, with the Rhode Island Building and Construction Trades Council. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Justin Kelly, and I am a business representative and political director for the Painters and Allied Trades District Council 11. I also sit as the chairman of the organizing committee for the Rhode Island Building and Construction Trades Council here in the state of Rhode Island, representing over 10,000 members, many of whom work on the roads every day, day in and day out. And so it's, I'd like to thank everybody who has preceded me here, the Director Alviti, the Highway Administrator, Colonel, and Chief. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. It's simply this, the message I want to get across to everybody. Nobody goes to work to die. We go to work to make a living. And we need everybody out there in the motoring public to do your part. Please, slow down. Pay attention. Don't drive distracted. Put the phone down. I drove about 5 hours yesterday, back and forth from Connecticut. 2 separate times, I almost witnessed fatal accidents around work zones. Just yesterday. Man in the middle of the road, driving in the middle of the road, I think making a social media video on Route 395 in Connecticut. Slamming on his brakes, coming into a work zone. Coming back late at night, 295 northbound, heading back to where I live in Cumberland. Was slamming on the brakes, almost slamming into the work zone and the lane closure on the left-hand side. It's a very simple thing. Respect the people that are out there doing the work. Because from bridge painters to pavers, all of the building trades members, every civil employee, and everybody that's out there working, we need you to do your part. Please, take heed. Slow down for work zones. It's my pleasure now to introduce Director of Public Relations, Jillian Young from AAA Northeast. And thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Jillian Young, Director of Public Relations with AAA Northeast. I'd like to thank the Rhode Island Department of Transportation for organizing this event. This week holds special significance for us at AAA Northeast as our tow truck drivers put their lives in danger every day to protect and assist people at the roadside. The AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety has documented a surge in deaths and injuries among all roadside assistance workers. In 2020 and 2021, on average, one roadside assistance worker died every 2 weeks. During this distracted driving month, It's time for all of us to remember that when we get behind the wheel, our first responsibility is safety. Our own safety, the safety of our passengers and everyone else on our roadways, other drivers, other passengers, pedestrians, cyclists, and those working on the roadside. That text can wait, and so can that phone call, that cup of coffee, anything that is going to take your attention away from driving. This is also an ideal time for us to highlight that Rhode Island has a newly expanded slow down, move over law. We all know that when we see red, yellow, or blue lights at the roadside, the 2008 law requires us to slow down and, if it's safe, move over to the next lane. Last year, AAA worked with Rhode Island legislators to expand the law to include all drivers stranded at the roadside. So focus on the road, scan the streets for bikes and feet, and for construction and paving crews that are re-emerging as the weather gets warmer. And please help protect those who protect us all. Provide a safe buffer zone to emergency workers, utility vehicles, tow trucks, and anyone like you and May who may be pulled over at the roadside. That person working or waiting at the side of the road could be your mother, your father, your son, or your daughter. Remember that as you drive by them carefully. When it comes to distracted driving, AAA offers some sobering statistics. When you're driving 55 miles per hour, just 5 seconds of looking at your phone to read a text or an email is the equivalent of driving the length of a football field blindfolded. And AAA research finds that distraction lasts. There is a hangover effect, 27 seconds, which you remain distracted after you have used your mobile device. Finally, imagine how vulnerable you would feel if vehicles were speeding by your office every day at 65 or 70 miles per hour. Slow down and move over for all vehicles at the roadside, curb your speed in work zones, and don't drive distracted. The life of someone you love may depend on you staying focused behind the wheel. And with that, I will turn it over to Ray Koya, Administrator of the New England Laborers Health and Safety Fund. Thank you.
Good morning. As Jillian said, my name is Raymond Koya, and I am the Administrator of the New England Laborers Health and Safety Fund. And on behalf of the New England Laborers Health and Safety Fund and the Laborers International Union of North America, I would like to say thank you to those agencies and their respective representatives present here today for sharing our commitment to the safety of the men and women who work daily in work zones throughout the state of Rhode Island. Under programs put in place and overseen by Governor McKee and Director Alviti, the construction projects are set to once again commence, and with that, the number of men and women working in work zones is set to increase as they continue to build, maintain, and improve our roads and bridges. It's a proven fact that there exists a correlation between the onset of warm weather and the increase in the motoring public. As such, then, National Work Zone Awareness Week is a time most appropriate to remind the motoring public of their duty to slow down, obey signs, don't text and drive, as well as obey all other laws of the road. We need to continue to encourage the driving public to drive carefully and safely as they approach and pass through the offices of the construction road workers. Safety in work zones won't happen by itself. As we provide properly trained and skilled workers, we must rely on the motorists to be equally trained and skilled as they navigate the state's roadways. It requires a team approach. Many of the players on the team are the agencies represented here today. It is through this team approach that we share a commitment to the safety of the construction workers and stand together in this initiative. Road construction projects necessitate a shared commitment to safety. It is a proven fact that safety works when people work together. Unfortunately, when we are not working together, accidents can happen. So let us once again commit to constantly reinforce the synergy between those who travel through work zones and those who are performing the work within these projects, with a combined effect allowing the men and women working in these work zones being able to return home safely on a daily basis. All it takes is patience and cooperation. So I ask that we once again stand together as partners, committed to safety, as we remember that safety isn't just a slogan. It needs to be a way of life. And to restate the slogan that was earlier stated, remember, work zones are temporary, but actions behind the wheel can last forever. Thank you. I'll now call back Director Alviti.
Yep. Okay.
I am a supervisor for Rhode Island Department of Transportation, part of the Belleville Maintenance Garage.
I'm Isabella Morris, I'm project manager at DOT.
Joseph Smith, I'm a bridge maintenance. And my daughter Mariella, she's 10 years old, and this is my son Elijah, who's 7 years old. What is the neighbors? I am the lawyers. I've been a teacher here at investigative. Wife, works in the director's office, and my daughter. Anything that has to do with road maintenance, keeping the road safe, clear, and anything.
As a part of my job, I go out to construction sites to oversee ongoing construction projects.
My job is to report on certain areas of the bridge, areas of the joint that's coming up, or construction that's going to be repaired. I'll go down and do the snow plowing at night. We go out on the highways and we do working on the bridges, which might involve all of the Italian beams. So we have to block off areas of the highway, we go out every day, we're blocking off areas of the roads that people drive on every day so that we can stay safe when we work. Work zone safety is the most important aspect of my job. Home is different every day I want home. My job is very, very, very dangerous at times. There are long nights, a lot of weekends, a lot of snowstorms.
When I go on a construction site, it's to ensure that things are in accordance.
And some days we work 7 to 3, we come back at 9 to 7 the next morning. We have to do something major on the highway, so we can't shut the highways on every day.
If I see something that is not safe, I report it or I give that correction because work safety is of most important.
Well, we've been in the work zone with all the guys who hit the team rank, we was in a car with a big 4 or 5 kids, wasn't paying attention, smashing the car. I've had horrible accidents right next to me. He did that while he was actually in the truck. Last year I was really whacking the crew and car came right up and right in the Jeep pickup truck, smashed right next to me. It was right here.
I've seen an accident happen on my job sites where 2 cars collided. No one was hurt from the construction team, but we did have up signage for stop yield, slow down.
It was very fun. And just wanted to share it with them. They do. As a parent, you try not to really involve your kid with that aspect of your job. I don't want my children to be nervous about it, but they do understand it because we see it in other things. And they ask me all the time, Daddy, do you do that? Are you doing stuff like that? And I do. Yes. They always need to survive.
Well, where's the most is in drivers and concerned about the nation across the road because even though we see the said that the streets are probably so speedy.
You know, and it's scary, but they understand how important the traffic safety aspect of the job is because they want to get it. And they understand.
Never that one of us could be your son, your grandchild, your father. We just want to go home at the end of the day. Just
We pay attention. We all have to. We need to go.
I'm somebody's father, husband, son.
And to do the kids and wife at home and love me, I want to make sure I really appreciate people paying attention to the road signs that are out there, especially in my work on roads. The road signs are there for a reason. We really need to pay attention to the road signs.
Stay alert, be aware, and slow down.
Thank you, everyone. My thank you to yours. Please drive safe.
Excuse me. These folks that you saw just now are part of our RIDOT family. We can multiply these folks by literally thousands of workers that the speakers that you heard today represent in our work zones on a daily basis. Thousands of workers and their families are doing their part to make our roads safer, better, and we're here today asking the drivers that pass them by to do their part. Slow down, stay attentive, don't be distracted, and be courteous. Be courteous to not only them, but be courteous to yourselves as you drive along our work zones. At the end of the day, we just want everyone, both the motoring public and these folks and the thousands of others that are in our over 100 active work zones currently throughout Rhode Island. So thanks everybody for your cooperation. I'd like to thank you all for coming every year and helping us get this important message out to folks, just to be safe and allow everybody to get home to their families safely every day. Thanks for coming and thanks for your coverage.